in India. We've seen the kind of valuations that these companies are now enjoying, which, some people are in shock and awe of. What do you make of the whole e-commerce story and the e-commerce opportunity?
Well, I would not comment on the valuation,
Sure.
but I'll comment on the transformation that is happening in the retail space. And look at this. This is a real example of technology playing a game. They've suddenly come in and changed the game on retail.
Yeah.
We've had
This, in a sense, has been the transformational story that we can talk about.
Indeed, absolutely. Retail is a real living example of what technology can do in such a short time. Access to new customers, new marketplaces, and look at the transactions happening. We have a real recent case a couple of days ago on how the transactions really shot through the roof.
Yeah.
And that's a real example of what's the transformation that technology is driving in this space. And retail is a starting point. I guess every vertical is going to go through this transformation.
In terms of policy and in terms of more clarity, before we actually see companies like yours setting up local data centers here and so on and so forth, what is it that you would like to see from the government?
It's just one thing. It's the principle that if
don't change the goalpost.
Don't change the goalpost. That really is the key. I think we're all smart enough, intelligent enough to manage. We operate in multiple different countries. Indian companies operate in multiple different countries. So we know how to do it. We want to do it in a way in which we are predictable. But the moment you start doing things retrospective, it destroys everything which we have built so far. And to me, that's the simple message I'd like to give the government, that, always look at it from a future perspective, never from a past perspective.
In terms of new areas of opportunity, we of course talked about cloud, which is the big one for you, data analytics, apps, and so on and so forth. The whole digital and social media push, and we're seeing that play out in India as well, and what that means from an enterprise point of view, and what it also means for a company like yours. How excited are you about that?
Social in the private space is a reality. We have the figures of how consumers are adopting social, and when these consumers are coming to the enterprise, they're demanding social in the enterprise as well. We're already seeing this play out in the higher end of the enterprise. It's already customers adopting social enterprise or enterprise in social in a big way. So it's a reality that is being forced by the consumer. When we talk of consumerization of IT, social in enterprise and BYOD are two realities that are playing out as we speak.
And BYOD is the other big thing that you're excited about.
Absolutely.
But what are the challenges of being able to, to run that?
Well, the number one challenge is manageability and security. Yeah. That's, I think, an IT manager.
That's the key concern,
Absolutely.
And an IT manager's nightmare.
That's an IT manager's nightmare. I think those two things, if you can manage well, I think that's really the game that's going to play out. And consumers are going to bring in devices of all form factors, starting from mobile to tablets. Well, they won't bring in PCs, but they'll bring in mobiles and tablets because that's the form factors they're going to consume most. And they're going to bring platforms and form factors of their choice. So IT managers will have to figure a way out to manage data in a secure way. And there are options very clearly available. We are working with a host of customers across verticals in building a BYOD strategy for them and then playing it out in terms of security and manageability.
So, Mr. Nadella has talked about reinvigorating Microsoft, reinventing Microsoft. What does that mean, and what can we expect on those lines from an India point of view? Especially from an India R&D and India's place in Microsoft's R&D point of view.
So I think a lot of what we are and have been over the last 40 years doesn't change. In terms of our value system, they still remain the same. It's about being high levels of integrity, big, heavy, aggressive goals, being passionate about our technology, our customers, our partners. It's about being self-critical.
He talks about bringing agility and nimbleness back, which is something that has been candidly acknowledged that companies of this size lose out on.
Right. So I think those are the values which will continue. I think our strategy, our vision hasn't changed. It's about enabling every Indian and every Indian business to realize their true potential. What has changed is our strategy. Our strategy now, today, is a productivity and a platform company, both of which we are very strongly known for. And we're going to build on top of that and create those experiences in this new world where, digital life and digital work all sort of interplay with each other. What is also changing is the behaviors. So previously, we used to hire perhaps the smartest individuals on the planet. We still want to hire the smartest individuals on the planet, but we want to make sure that they collaborate much better. Because nobody is as smart as all of us. I think we want to have people who are curious, who ask the right questions, who question the status quo. We want people who are willing to take risks. And, you know, we talk about entrepreneurship, and I'm not talking about people who are going to build products. I'm saying even the sales guy out there in the field talking to customers. We want people who are entrepreneurs. We want what we call growth hackers. We want people who are obsessed about customers. We want people who are willing to think about disruption, willing to take the risk. So, yeah, those are the elements which we are trying to bring about some change. It's about reverting back to our roots of...
So going back to the basics in a
of a
sense.
startup,
Yeah.
but retaining the core of who we are and what we do.
So you've said a lot of things there, growth hackers, risk takers, disruptors, and so on and so forth. So before I let the two of you go, let me ask you this. What do you think, and I'll start by asking you, Mr. Pramanik, what is the biggest thing that Microsoft needs to do, the single biggest thing that Microsoft needs to do to future-proof itself?
Obsess about its customers. Think about it. We are the only company in the world who serves an individual of one and the largest enterprises in the world. We've got to obsess about them, the individual customer and the largest enterprises.
You can't say the customer.
I can't agree more than what he said. Absolutely, it's about our growth in this country depends on getting new customers. And obviously, it's going to be about obsessing customers, understanding their needs, and then fulfilling that need versus pushing products. That's, I think, a very, very critical piece to our success.
Do you see India as being the innovation test bed, the innovation hub for the next big trend in technology, whether services or products?
I believe so. If you see the way we spoke about the startup trend in this country, it's building up. The environment in the country is now way more conducive for innovating and enabling startups to groom in this country. So I believe, you know, it's always difficult to foresee technology and foresee the future.
Yeah.
But I guess we
Especially when it changes every 6 months.
It does, it does. So I would say we have an equal chance as in the country to be the test bed or the next hub of innovation in the world.
Bhaskar Pramanik, Karan Batra, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the CNBC TV 18 special. We wish you and Microsoft the very best of luck with your plans here in India and the strategy that you've decided to take forward. Well, that's it then on this Curtain Raiser episode, but do stay tuned to CNBC TV 18 as we profile some businesses across different sectors that are using technology to catapult themselves to new heights. We'll also hear from important stakeholders about the way ahead for technology in India. Until then, from the entire team, many thanks for watching.
Next week on the series, catch a thought-provoking panel on cloud computing.
It's not technology for technology's sake. It has to be a business driver behind the reason to move to the cloud.
So cloud is here to stay. Till about 1 or 2 years ago, this was probably far too distant in the future is what everybody thought.
The value that people in a function can add should be towards adding value to the business than to keeping lights on per se.
Yes.
And I think that is an unintended outcome that we got.
To me, cloud is actually a utility, and we have been actually waiting for something like this to happen, and it's happening now.
Reach out to us with your thoughts on cloud computing via Twitter at CNBC TV 18 News, #AccelerateIndia, or on Facebook.com/CNBC TV 18 India. Or you could also visit our website www.moneycontrol.com/AccelerateIndia.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.